If you are the lowest you've ever been, I think positive affirmations are great for you. If you're somewhere in the middle and you're wondering why you're not getting results, I would say, are your affirmations aligned with your action? Are you affirming yourself as much as you're taking action? I want you to feel really good about yourself. I do. But I also want you to get out there and do stuff that doesn't always make you feel good about yourself.
So if you just care about goals and you don't care about fulfillment at all, which I do not recommend, and you just want results, that actually is truthful. If you just want to be fulfilled and you don't care about achieving your goals, then the other thing actually does work.
Next Level Nation, welcome back to another episode of Next Level University, where we help you level up your life, your love, your health, and your wealth. Today, for episode number 1758, we are going to spit some hot fire. A lot of people would rather feel better than get better. Not saying that if you're in that camp right now, that's, I won't say a bad thing, but really what we want to talk about today is a lot of the advice that is being given in self-improvement is what I like to call bumper sticker self-improvement. And I'm guilty of this in the past for sure. I used to say things like, if you believe in it, you can do it. It's like, yeah, that sounds really good, but there's a lot of things that I believe in that I'm not physically capable of doing. So I played a video for Alan right before this, and this is a very well-known big podcaster who has a lot of listens and a lot of episodes and a lot of success. And the ultimate thought on this teaser clip, this piece of content that they put up, was if something is for you, it is literally impossible, and pardon my French if there's kids in the room, to fuck it up. You cannot fuck something up if it is for you. And it goes along the lines of life is not happening to you, it's happening for you. If it's meant to be, it'll be. If it's meant to be, it'll happen in the right timing. And I just don't think that is constructive for most of us. This is the example I use with Alan. I believe Taryn is for me. I believe my relationship is for me. I can't imagine having a better relationship with anybody on the planet. I could give you a million ways I could mess it up. It wouldn't be hard to sabotage this and make it all go away. If I go in with the mind of no matter what I do, this is for me, so it will exist forever, that is a recipe for disaster.
Yeah, big time. It's a great example.
I appreciate that. I wanted to have a podcast that helped people. That was where this all started. Long before there was a business and clients and team and any of this stuff, a million listens and long before all of that, I was a young man who wanted to help people. Imagine if I thought to myself, that no matter what, I can't possibly mess this up because this is for me. There's no way we would be here in the way we are. Not a chance. This podcast would have died. It would have died long ago. Like it almost did in the very beginning when I was missing episodes and skipping episodes. There's probably some people out there right now, potentially listening to this, who maybe you feel like you're a bad luck charm and nothing can work out for you and nothing's going to be positive and maybe you're in a really, really dark hole. I don't think hearing something like that is really going to help you. Because if anything, it doesn't create the necessity to take responsibility for what we're going through. And that makes it really, really, really hard. I told Alan this. I went on a podcast recently, and it was a weird podcast. Sometimes that happens. Sometimes you don't always know what you're getting yourself into. And this podcast essentially was me and two other people talking to the host. And it was about spirituality and meditation and mindfulness. Love it. I'm all in on meditation, mindfulness, and what spirituality means to me. And it was very interesting because one of the guests, so we were all considered guests, was somebody who was older, and they said, I am someone who attracts what I want, and I'm connected to these outcomes and all these things. And then they said, but I'm really struggling with money right now. And this person was older. They were in their, we're talking, I'm 35. They were at least 30 years older than me. And they said something very interesting. they said, there's something that happened in my family recently, and I was able to manifest money. And I sat there for a second, like, let's hear this. And they said, I started a GoFundMe. Now, again, I'm not laughing because I think that's funny. It's more the fact that if you are holding a hammer, everything is going to look like a nail. Meaning, maybe somebody told them about a company called GoFundMe that helps people that are trying to raise money for a cause. I don't necessarily think that person manifested that. I think they probably Googled it or they asked somebody. But that puts you in a potentially really dangerous cycle of not taking responsibility and then hoping that something gets solved. And I just don't want people... If you're watching or you're watching this or listening to this, our thing is heart-driven but no BS. Heart-driven meaning I want to tell you the truth from a place of caring. The no BS is I want it to be the real truth. I want it to be the actual truth of what has mattered to me and what has worked for me and what has worked for Alan and what hasn't worked for people and why they didn't get successful. Because not a lot of people get to hear from the people who don't make it. But a lot of the clients I've worked with didn't accomplish the goals they wanted. Alan, I know you've had clients who didn't accomplish the goals they wanted. I'll tell you what, a lot of the clients that didn't accomplish the goals that they wanted were the clients who said, well, I know if it's meant to be, it'll be. And evidently it wasn't meant to be because it didn't happen. And I just am not of that belief. I think it's good to feel guided. I think it's good to feel supported. I think it's good to feel the universe is on your side. 1,000%. I love that. But not at the detriment of you taking responsibility for what it is that you hope to accomplish. And again, if I sound fired up, it's because I just don't want to see you 10 years down the line way off track because you felt like everything was going to work out because somebody told you everything was going to work out. This is a really heavy thing, being a human. It is really heavy. Really, really, really heavy. And I know a lot of people who thought things were going to work out that are not in good positions right now, unfortunately. And I just don't want that for you, whether you're watching or listening, because I care about you all. And sometimes that means I get fired up in a 5-minute monologue, 8-minute monologue.
My favorite. You did a video back in 2016 on Facebook Live, back before Facebook Live was even really a thing. I mean, it was one of the first videos I've ever seen of you ever talking anything deep.
I think that was the first one ever, I think.
And I watched it, and you had a company, BEFD, you had your own website. Better
company,
every fucking day.
Company is in
company
quotation
in quotes,
marks and lightly considered, I would say.
BEFD, better every effing day.
Yes.
And you started it out with, do you deserve to be happy? And your premise, your thesis, your conclusion was, I think that you deserve what you work for. I believe earning it. And we've since contemplated this every way you possibly could, because Kevin and I get very fired up by people being misguided. People are often misguided, and it bothers us. For sure. And we've been misguided as well.
Well, I think that's why it bothers us.
Yeah, of course. And the clip that Kevin shared with me prior to us recording this episode, we'll keep anonymous who it was and all that. It was comical for me to see how overly affirming it is. There is very clearly toxic negativity, and I understand that completely, and there's a ton of it, and I totally get it. But there's also something known as toxic positivity. Toxic positivity is something we talk about at NLU all the time, and I had someone from my past reach out recently, actually just joined group coaching, so pumped. And he said, I'm resonating so deeply with you two because of this Drive to 5 thing. Drive to 5 is not toxic negativity or toxic positivity. Drive to 5 is a scale from 0 to 10 where we're trying to drive to the center. We're trying to drive to 5. We're trying to get to the optimal middle where you understand both and you can lead your own life from the accurate, objective truth. Now, this clip, when I say it's comical, what I mean is it's just toxic positivity. It's This dude, who we will keep anonymous, has been grinding for a very, 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 very long time. And he sacrificed for years and 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 years to get to a place where he is. And I don't know if it's because he lost sight of how hard it was in the beginning. I don't know if it's because he knows this is what's trending right now. I don't know him well enough to know. But I have talked to some of my clients behind the scenes who have worked with him, by the way, and they prefer my coaching. I'm grateful, and they think he's toxic positive. And they also have gotten some messages that are ridiculous from him. But anyways, the point is not about him. If you believe that everything is going to go horribly wrong and that you have the worst luck in the world and that life is against you and everyone's against you and no matter what you do, you can't win, you have toxic negativity. That's not constructive, that's destructive, and that's not true. It's not accurate. Objectively. Statistically. If you think that no matter what you do, no matter what you say, no matter what you think, feel, or believe, things are going to work out no matter what, and you're deserving of all your goals as you are without improving anything about yourself or changing anything, you're also in trouble.
Yeah.
And the reason why is because if you have people like Kevin and I who wake up every single day, let's not use Kevin and I, let's use someone else. I'll use Emilia. I live with Emilia. Emilia is my favorite human in the entire world, and she is the definition of lack of entitlement, humility, work ethic, and earning it. That woman earns it every single day, always, 24/7, 365. She's doing all she can she aims at the highest possible good that she can conceptualize and believe in every single day. And if anyone who actually studies her would see that to her own detriment. I'm talking picking up litter in our condo complex when we have other more important things to do, quite frankly. And I'm not against picking up litter. I do the same thing, but not as much as her. She is unbelievable. Now, I'm talking about Emilia here because I don't want to make it about Kevin and I. Emilia does not think everything's just going to work out. She's beautiful. She's young. She's intelligent. She's attractive. She's charismatic. She's unbelievable. She still, every single day, wakes up with the humility of, okay, I know that I don't know everything, and I'm going to work on getting better today. And her future is going to get bigger and better and brighter to the extent that she's honest with herself about herself. Now, if she were to wake up every day and go, oh, I'm the worst, and I suck, and I look terrible, and that's destructive, that's toxic negativity. But if she were to wake up and go, well, I'm beautiful, and everything's just going to work out for me, and I don't really have to work, she certainly wouldn't be with me. I wouldn't want to be with someone like that. So to Kevin's point about Taryn, I agree 1,000%. You know how easily I could screw this relationship up? I have to earn it every single day to be with Emilia. Every single day I have to be the best man I can be. I have to be honest. I have to be integrous. I have to be virtuous. I have to be keeping the promises I make to myself and to her. I have to be better. I have to work on myself. I have to grow. I'm doing therapy. There's so much honor in that. And I just think that this whole idea of, well, you deserve it. Well, do you even know? What do you mean? Because honestly, there's a lot of people out there who are sick and suffering who deserve a lot better than
for sure,
than they have. So why you? Why should you be a world-class podcaster and not have to work on yourself every day when someone like Emilia works on communication every single day? And again, it's every day. It's every single day. It's literally every single day. And she still doesn't think she's any good. And not in a negative way, honestly, I'm not that strong of a communicator compared to where I need to be in order to achieve my goals. She doesn't think she's a bad communicator compared to everyone. She thinks that she has a long way to climb when it comes to being the best podcaster she can be. And the truth is she does. And so I think it takes humility and gratitude and lack of entitlement to earn success and to sustain it. And I think that a lot of people get to a place where they have a lot of status and perception, and then they lose sight of that. And I do think that that person is on his way down. You might not see it now, but I think that if he keeps that mentality up, he's in some serious trouble, particularly when it comes to fitness and his intimate relationship and things of real merit behind the scenes when no one's watching.
I don't think that's actually what he thinks, though.
Well, then that's a whole other ethical issue.
I don't think that's actually what he thinks. I don't.
What do you think he thinks?
I think it's probably closer to the truth of it probably took him a lot of work to get to where he is. He probably had to sacrifice a lot. He probably had to look in a lot of mirrors. And maybe he wishes he didn't. I think there's a correlation between when someone achieves a level of success and then they regret all the effort that it took to get there, then they start giving advice that's different. We did that not in the same way, where we just said, look, I think it's just as important to understand the journey than it is to understand the ultimate goal. I don't care what your goals are. I care more about the journey that you're willing to accept for a long period of time. I just don't know if that's the advice other people want to give. Because it's not super inspirational. It's not super motivational. It's not super positive in the definition of positive. Except I think it's the most positive because it's based on maybe a more accurate view of truth.
I think the other reason why this bothers us, particularly me, but I think you as well, I think it devalues the people who put in the work. It devalues. I mean, why doesn't everyone have an 8-pack, and why doesn't everyone live in a mansion on the beach, and why doesn't everyone? It devalues the true work ethic that we put in when someone says, "Well, if it's for you, it's for you." I'll use this as a metaphor. I think I'm going to end up using this as a metaphor a lot because I think you learn a lot from things like this. So Emilia and I did a 5K this weekend, and we did the same one 2 years prior, back in 2022. Holy crap. 2022.
A young man.
And so now it's 2024, and we did that this past weekend. And the winner of the 5K, I kid you not, ran a 14:57. It was an average of, 4:43 per mile, which is insane. It's like an all-out sprint for an entire mile, basically. I don't think I could even keep that pace for a quarter of a mile, genuinely. So I probably could for a quarter of a mile, but the point is it's insane. It's insane. And I came in at 7:30 for reference, meaning, so the total was 23:50 or something like that, basically 24 minutes. So he did in 15 minutes what took me 24 minutes, what took Emilia 34 minutes. Or 33, I forget. The point is this. It devalues his work and his effort and his compound effect and his choices if I go in saying, well, I guess running's just not for me. So obviously it's not meant to be. So whatever. That guy obviously has, maybe he's gifted genetically. I'm sure he is. But that guy probably has been running for 15 years at least to try to get to that place. And I bet you he suffered that entire 15 minutes. And I'm talking, running, in my opinion, is just pure suffering, at least when you're trying to make a time. This was uphill, downhill, uphill, downhill, uphill. It was brutal. It was hot. It was humid as hell. It was just pain, pure pain. But despite that pain, despite the suffering, despite the effort and the work, it devalues it when you just say things like, well, then it's not for me, or everyone deserves that. Everyone deserves to run to win a 5K. Well, there's 252 people who ran over 4 or so hundred that signed up, and then it thunderstormed, so most people didn't come. But of the 252 people who signed up, does everyone deserve to win? Like, what kind of, you devalue life when you try to blanket statement everything.
Definitely.
And I've exercised with Emilia every day for 2.32 or 2.33 years, something like that. Why does everyone just deserve to beat me at the 5K? Just because it's aligned or whatever. I just don't. I think it's not helpful. So let's get back to the main point. It's just not helpful. That's not going to help you. I had someone reach out today, and I want to share this. I had someone reach out on Instagram, and he said this, and I think this is a testament to the truth The truth of what this really, the point that I'm really trying to make here. How would I get back to it? Hold on. Hold on. Notifications. Kev, where's the new notification button?
On what?
On Instagram?
It's the heart on the top right.
I don't have a heart on the top right. Yes, I do. Yes, I do.
It is.
Found it. Okay, thank you for your patience, everyone. All right, this was a great conversation that I had on comments. I posted my top books, and he said, "Hey, Lazaros 88, I've got a question for you. You're the athletic physio's business coach. How have you helped him build wealth?" Well, I can tell you for sure I didn't help him build wealth by saying it's all going to work out. Don't worry about it. If it's for you, you'll be wealthy. If it's not, you won't. That's not what this is the truth. This is what I think is the truth in an Instagram message. At so-and-so, I'll keep it anonymous. I think that might be a better question for him, but for the most part, my focus has been helping him to track the right metrics and habits, and then to keep him accountable to that system every week. His goals are large, long-term, but we break them down into annual and quarterly goals in addition to a system of metrics and habits that are sustainable week in and week out. I'm super proud of how far he's come since a few years ago when we first met. And that person reached out. I think they're going to end up coaching, and it's great. It's great. But notice how my answer wasn't, well, if you want to manifest wealth, you got to think about it and just make sure it's for you. Everyone wants to have a better body. Everyone wants to be healthier and wealthier and more in love. Everyone, of course. Why wouldn't you? Those are the fundamentals of human nature. I want to be healthier. I want to be wealthier. I want to be more in love. I want to live on a beautiful lake with land. I want central air and beautiful equipment and a better camera and a better microphone. And I want to be able to afford even more amazing team members. And I want to be able to travel. I do, actually. I do want to travel. Mm-hmm. And I want to do the travel in a way that isn't super inconvenient and that costs a ton of money. Do I just deserve that stuff because it's for me? It's just not a helpful thing. What's helpful is the truth. And what's helpful is taking responsibility for the things that you want to achieve. That's what's required. You have to take responsibility for what you say, think, do, feel, and believe every single day. And you can continually work on yourself and work on your craft and work on your skills and set goals and work toward them and overcome challenges and learn from mentors and coaches and get therapists and surround yourself with the right people. It really does. It relinquishes pretty much everything that's useful when you start saying blanket statements like he did. It's
a very dangerous game. Now, here's the thing. I can understand there are many people who need more positive affirmation. 1,000%. 1,000%. But eventually you get to a place where if the affirmation stops you from taking action, it's not as constructive. In the beginning, if you are really riding the struggle bus and you're afraid to show your face in public, looking in the mirror and saying positive things about yourself is awesome. Amazing. Love it. You'd spend all day doing it. But eventually it gets to the place where if the affirmation creates a lack of action, you're just going to have to say more affirmations. That's just going to it's going to be the thing, is you're going to have to over affirm at lack of action. And it's this weird thing where I know for a long time there was the overly grind culture where everybody needs to work 24 hours a day, no matter what. If you're not doing that, you're lazy and you're not going to be successful. I think what happens when somebody lives at the polarity is people run very, very quickly in the opposite direction. So then it became, well, only do what fulfills you, only do what feels right, only do what feels aligned, and if it's meant to be, it'll be. That's not the truth either.
No, it's really not.
But neither is, for most people, neither is the other end. For Alan and I, grind your face off to accomplish your goals is the truth for us.
If you want to achieve, I just want to jump in. If you really do want to achieve your goals, I can tell you for sure. Now, remember, achieve your goals without being fulfilled. Yeah. If you want to just achieve results without being fulfilled, you do what Kevin's fitness coach told him, which is the person who wins the show is the one willing to suffer the most.
Yes.
The person winning the 5K is whoever is willing to train the longest and the hardest the most, and then also train hard in R&R. And what I mean by that is get perfect R&R every day. And that takes discipline too, by the way.
It becomes your life.
It becomes your entire life,
Yeah,
right?
That's your life now.
So if you just care about goals and you don't care about fulfillment at all, which I do not recommend, and you just want results, that actually is truthful. If you just want to be fulfilled and you don't care about achieving your goals, then the other thing actually does work.
Yeah. Yeah.
But not fully, because you might not be fulfilled if you're only ever just affirming, right? No challenges also.
Right.
Not good. NLU listener, what is happening? I just wanted to jump in here and let you know, if you want to get to the next level faster, we have a free virtual monthly meetup at the first Thursday of every month, 6 p.m. Eastern Time. You can connect with like-minded people and become a bigger part of this amazing global community. The link to register will be in the show notes.
Yeah, I don't know. It's a really hard thing. And again, I don't want to sound negative when we do episodes like this. I just know if I didn't do bodybuilding and I wasn't somebody who was into fitness for as long as I have been, I might have heard advice like that and believed it. But I knew, I've known for a long time because I've been in the gym for a long time. It doesn't matter what I want. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter.
Yeah,
because in the gym, it's real. There's real numbers and there's real measurements, and you either do it or you don't. Now, again, I want everybody to be confident to the point where they feel comfortable doing their physical activity, whatever that means. Going to the beach and swimming or going to the pool, whatever that means. But when you start putting in the effort, I think that's what a lot of people are kind of missing. And it just scares me. It scares me for people. Because I know a lot of the people behind the scenes who have podcasts about stuff like this. And a lot of those podcasts can't afford to work with anybody because they don't have any money. Because they're in this, I'm just going to continue to change my perception. I'll change my perception. I'll change my perception. I'll change my perception. I've met some amazing humans who are very, 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 I'll just say spiritual in terms of it's not about the physical work. It's about the spiritual alignment. I've met many, many, many people who are amazing human beings. But do you know 9 times out of 10 what the conversation behind the scenes is? They can't pay their bills. And they don't know if they're going to be able to continue what they're doing. One of the reasons is they think it's eventually going to happen. And it's not going to happen unless they change their behavior, most likely, statistically. I also have met people on the other end who are grinding behind the scenes, who are not fulfilled at all. And they think, well, the next dollar I make, the next client I get, the next award I get will do it. That ain't going to do it either. The truth is,
wealthier. They are wealthier.
Yeah, they're usually, yes.
Statistically. Yep.
Yes. The truth, here's the problem. There is no one truth for everybody. The truth is dependent on who is listening. And that's why it's so hard to do a freaking podcast episode that's valuable, because it depends on who you are and where you are. If you are the lowest you've ever been, I think positive affirmations are great for you. If you're somewhere in the middle and you're wondering why you're not getting results, I would say, are your affirmations aligned with your action? Are you affirming yourself as much as you're taking action? I want you to feel really good about yourself. I do, but I also want you to get out there and do stuff that doesn't always make you feel good about yourself. Because that's kind of that was the point of this episode. A lot of people would rather feel good and think about how one day it's going to happen. Maybe I'm just not fully aligned yet. Maybe it's not the right time. Then be good and get better and improve, which oftentimes just sucks.
We're reading a book. I know we got to jump. We're reading a book in book club called Same as Ever by Morgan Housel. And there's an entire chapter dedicated to how people would prefer certainty than accuracy.
That was the thing from that book. That was the thing that changed my mindset more than anything.
If you are out there watching or listening to this podcast is not here for Kevin and I to hear ourselves talk. This podcast is not here for any other reason than to help you implement and improve yourself and your life. That is where this was born. Change the way you think, change the way you act, change the way you live. The Hyperconscious podcast was born 7 years ago for that reason. If you're watching or listening to this, the best way that I can articulate this without going on some crazy tangent, that I actually think a lot of the clip that Kevin showed me, sometimes I wonder if that's just fun to listen to because it feels good to listen to rather than something that actually works. And again, there's some small circumstances where affirmation does actually work, because if you don't believe in yourself, you need a little bit of affirmation just to get up and to keep going. You need a little hope. I get it. You need hope. But beyond hope, you need everything else, and none of that anymore. Yeah. It's kind of like, it's almost like candy. Candy's delicious in the moment, but it's not good for you unless it's right before a certain workout and you're trying to carb up with Swedish fish. And yes, I'm biased because I love them. But it's a tool that, if overused, becomes negative. You can't just eat Swedish fish every day. Trust me, I've tried. No, I'm kidding. But it would be terrible for me to do that. Okay. So this is the best way I can articulate it, and then we'll jump. Ask yourself this question. Do I care more about feeling good in the moment, or do I care more about what actually works? Because what actually works very rarely feels good. I wish it wasn't that way. Sometimes I get sad when we do episodes like this.
Yeah, same.
But it is the truth. And you have to kind of decide. So Kevin and I made a decision early on. I don't know if this was conscious or not. It was for me, for sure. I don't know if it was. You can speak to your experience. I made a conscious decision at the beginning after my car accident at 26. My conscious decision was, okay, all the humble pie at once. I will never again care more about my ego and feeling good about myself compared to what is accurate. I made a conscious decision to seek what was accurate regardless of how it made me feel about myself. And I used to joke and I said, you know how I know a book is great is when I feel terrible about myself. And the 15 Invaluable Laws of Growth is the example that I always use, because every time I pick up that book, it's the principles of how to grow to your maximum potential and maximize your potential. And every time I pick up that book, I'm basically bludgeoned in the face with all of the missed opportunities of how I didn't read when I was young enough. How I wish I had read more books. I wish I hadn't poisoned my brain with alcohol. I wish I had made some better choices. Now, do I think I'm a terrible human and that I regret everything? No, don't swing too far that way. That's not what I'm saying. I didn't make all awful choices. I made a lot of good choices and I made a lot of bad ones. And I was probably on the higher end of good choices than bad, obviously. But I'll tell you what, you better believe there's some regrets in there, and you better believe it wasn't all just going to work out, particularly in some of my past. And so that's what I would say is you have to make a conscious decision. Do you care about what works in fitness and what works in losing weight and what works in relationships and what works in business? What actually works? Or do you care more about what's affirming and feels good? Because quite frankly, whether it's doing a 5K or starting a podcast or being in a marriage or an intimate relationship or leading a team, you better be objective and you better look more at what works than what feels good, because usually what works doesn't feel good. The Stairmaster is my best metaphor. It never feels good. No one likes the Stairmaster. What a giant pain in the ass that thing is. But it always is fulfilling and it works. You want to burn some calories? That is the way. The Stairmaster will always burn more calories than a walk on the treadmill. And that's why it works. And I think that's a great metaphor. I really do.
I would agree. Again, a hardcore episode, but it's based on the fact that one, I probably wish I knew this sooner. I think I conceptually knew it, but I don't know if I knew it like I really do now.
One last question for you.
Yeah, sure.
When you did BEFD and you talked about earning it versus deserving it way back in 2016, that was long before the podcast. That was before you and I were close friends. That was before the Father's Day stuff. You and I almost lost our way on this journey. Kevin and I want to be very transparent. We almost lost ourselves. I almost lost myself in this whole it's all going to work out mentality. And then we got bludgeoned by the business realities of the world and how starting your own business, 94% of businesses fail in any 10-year period. And honestly, that doesn't even mean they're profitable. They're just barely standing. And so we got bludgeoned with the truth very quickly when we lost our way. I wonder if we didn't have each other and we didn't have huge goals that we really believed in, and we didn't have constant feedback from our partners, and that kind of, I wonder if we would have lost our way. So there was a time when I lost my way with too much affirmation. And I know you did too for a short time. Can you talk about why you're glad you came back to earth?
I felt better at that time. I remember every day I would get up and I would journal. And one of my journals was quantum journaling, where I would write down things as if I already had them. And it was awesome. It felt great. I am a millionaire, and I'm super grateful for the amount of money I have in my bank account. All that. I am grateful for my new car. I am grateful for this. I'm grateful for that. I was journaling about a relationship long before I had a relationship with Taryn. Love it. Awesome. But eventually it got to the point where my belief was, and I was already thinking very positively, very aspirationally. So I wasn't at the stage where I necessarily needed these affirmations anymore. I believed if I just did more of that, I would get more results. Well, I'm just not quantum journaling enough. That's the issue. Or I'm not meditating enough. That's the issue. I think all those are really nice supplements depending on what side of the equation you're on. If you're anxious like I was, meditate away.
Brother, those are the first 2 steps in the manifestation equation.
What?
I know. I have a manifestation equation. We will put the digital asset in the show notes. A link to Google Drive. You can download it for free. The first 2 steps are what Kevin just described. It's vision, big, bright future, affirmation, write down I am. And then the next one is visualize, which is meditation. Dude, you were doing the first 2 steps, but after that, there's still 8 more.
And one of the big one is action.
Yep.
That's the big. So at that time, I felt really good because I felt like I was doing the right thing. Time just hadn't caught up yet. I remember telling Alan this. I used to go to this coffee shop, and I shouldn't have been doing this. I didn't have the money to do this, but I would go get like a $7 iced latte. And I remember telling Alan, like, when I'm there, I feel better. I don't know how to explain it. Like, I feel centered. I send messages and I try to get clients. Did that ever really help? I don't think so. I felt really good, though. I felt good meditating every morning. And I'm not saying meditation is bad. Meditate if it feels good. I felt good journaling. But for a lot of us, the unlock isn't mental. For a lot of us, the unlock is you need to get out and go do the thing. I think that stuff in the beginning, and again, this is why it's so hard. Depending on where you are, of course it's going to be valuable. But I thought the reason that I wasn't more successful is because I wasn't more centered, or I wasn't more transcendent, or I wasn't more connected to myself. The truth is, that was a piece of it. But that wasn't all of it. That wasn't as much as I wanted it to believe.
What was the real reason?
I mean, there's a million. Nobody knew who I was. I hadn't made a name for myself. I didn't have a reputation yet. I wasn't that good at sales. I didn't understand numbers. I didn't understand money.
Not organized?
I wasn't organized.
You were napping at noon on a Tuesday, playing
not
video
at this
games.
Stage. Not at this stage. This is a different stage. But I was in the beginning, yeah.
Yeah.
I think that's the hardest part of this, is in the beginning you go into something with expectations. If you quit the thing, you never find out those expectations are false. So if you and I just quit business, we would have said, yeah, you know what? Couldn't figure it out. I'm not sure. I don't know what went wrong. It wasn't for us.
It wasn't for us. Yeah.
You know how most businesses fail. We started and it just, I don't know, we just never could get momentum and things just never worked out.
Yeah, the economy, COVID, I mean.
For sure.
Right.
But
there's 1,000 things we could make excuses, yeah.
When you're not willing to leave the arena, you have to find a way to stay in the arena. And that is when you change your behavior. You can change your perception all day. And sometimes it helps. but it's not, I don't think it's a medicine that you can take for a long enough period of time for it to get you anywhere meaningful. I just don't think it is.
Because eventually you do have to change your behavior.
You
Changing behavior is way harder than changing perception.
Of course.
Last thing, I used to say this to my clients, my fitness clients, because fitness is the best metaphor because it's physical. You can't manifest abs no matter what you do.
Yeah, no, it takes effort.
It's physical. Yeah, I can't get abs. I've exercised every day for 2 years, and I don't have enough abs. It's brutal.
I've been thinking of them every day for my entire life.
Man, and I want them.
They haven't come.
I want them, and I'm working for them, but I'm not dieting for them. That's the problem, okay? So I love food more than I love abs, apparently. So anyways, in fitness coaching, I used to say this. And I remember I had one particular client. Her name was Amy. I said, Amy, anyone can teach you how to lose weight. But remember, almost no one can get you to actually do it. I'm going to get you to do it. That's one of the things that I don't know how to... I probably should have said this to the guy is... The truth is, I just get my clients to do it. I know what buttons to push. And they know that I'm doing it without being... It's what's best for them, not what's best for me. I benefit too, but it's not the priority. I'm not the priority. I have one client who paid me double and then has a rolling money over his head, for lack of better phrasing, to make sure he doesn't miss. He's like, dude, just keep the money until I just want the accountability. So he pays me double, and it will pay for his next session if he doesn't miss. And he keeps re-upping it. It's called a commitment device. Basically, you pay me money, and I keep the money if you don't stay accountable. And he's been just doing it, and he hasn't missed. And it's unbelievable. I've done commitment devices, dude, for years. They never fail. It's ridiculous.
It's always worked for me, too, when I do it. It's always worked for me.
Oh, it's unbelievable. One of my clients was doing 3 hours studying for the bar exam. It's an unbelievable tool. You'll do more not to lose than you will to win, and that's a whole nother episode. But all I'm saying is anyone can change their perception. Anyone can teach you how to exercise and eat less to lose weight. Very few people can get you to do it, and even fewer can get you to do it every day. That's what really works. And even then, it takes a long time. Kevin and I are doing the 10-pound and 10-week challenges, and I'm a little behind, and so is he. We have got to get it together, no matter what we affirm. There is no affirmation. No more affirmation. I need to eat less tonight. And I know that, and I don't want to. I want dessert. I ate pie last night. I love apple pie. It's great. Big fan. There's no affirming your way to abs. There's no affirming your way to your goals, especially if they're really hard, meaningful goals. And so at the end of the day, affirmation's a great start, but it's not going to get you to win the race.
Taryn got me an ice cream maker for Christmas.
That's dangerous.
No, I'm going to make protein ice cream.
Nice.
I already have the recipe and everything.
Nice.
Yeah, I'm excited.
Yep.
It's pretty much like Halo Top, except number one, it's lower calorie and it's cheaper to make.
Nice.
I'm in. I'm very excited. I'm going to have ice cream every night for the rest of my life. It's already done. I'm going to make ice cream every single
protein
night.
Ice cream forever.
Forever. Yeah, I'm super excited. All right. Hardcore episode, but I think it needed to be done because, I don't know. I just wish I heard this sooner. And I know how dangerous it is. Again, I'm not telling you to grind your face off 24/7. If it's not in alignment. Here, okay, last thing. Last thing before we go. When someone tells you to grind your face off 24/7, you start doing it and you regret it almost immediately because you're not fulfilled. When someone tells you to do less and that the fact that it's all going to work out, unfortunately, you don't get the feedback of that till years later.
Whoa.
That's why it's fucked up. Pardon my
Nice
French.
work. No,
that
that's
just
exactly
landed
it.
for me.
Nice.
Because, you know why? The process is super easy. Just do less. Just do less. Just do less. Just do less. And eventually you get to the place where...
in 10 years, you realize none of your dreams came true.
And you're jeffed.
Whoa.
And you're jeffed. It's just like, when you do the grind your face off, you get the negative downside of doing that almost immediately.
No, not almost. Immediately.
Well, it depends. I mean, you could put in a week and say like, that was a really good week. And then Monday comes around and it's like, wait, I got to do that again? I got to do that again? Trust me, I understand. Sometimes it's like Groundhog Day. My alarm clock goes off at 6 a.m. and I roll out of bed and I'm like, it's 6 a.m. already? Oh my goodness. Here we go. But the opposite of that. So, quick analogy. One of the best things ever, and again, this isn't for everyone, I understand. One of the best things ever is my fitness coach told me, if you want to win, you'll suffer more than anyone else. If you want to win, you will suffer more than anybody else on that stage. Best piece of advice I ever got in terms of fitness, because it was accurate. It was accurate. Imagine if he told me, Kev, just imagine yourself winning and just don't change anything else. The whole prep would have been, this is awesome. This is awesome. This is amazing. I'm not working out that hard. I get to eat whatever I want. And then when I got on stage, I would have got stomped. And you know how I would have felt?
I've been there. It's awful.
I've never been there, luckily. You know how I would have felt? I would have felt terrible.
Yep. And I never would have done another show.
And I never would have done another show because I would have felt like I did everything I was told and I still didn't get my results. And it's my fault. It's my fault that I didn't get the results. Yes.
And then you would have thought, well, what are they, just better than me?
Right.
Is there something wrong with me?
The fact is, I listened to dumb advice. I listened to advice that wasn't good. It wasn't constructive. It wasn't based 100%. In truth. Okay, yeah. I'm fired up. All right, we're going to go.
That's great.
We're going to go.
Strong work.
Yeah, I appreciate that very much. That's my takeaway. My takeaway is when you grind your face off, you get the negative downsides immediately. When you do less and you wait for divine timing or whatever it is, you end up waiting for your entire life more often than not.
But it feels good right away. Feels good for the first several months, several years maybe, and then eventually wait a minute, this is I
want us all to live in our accurate middle. That we're Alan and I are trying to get ourselves to drive to 5 and figure out where that is, and everybody, we're trying to have conversations around how do you drive to your own unique version of 5. And the problem is everybody's 5 is different. That's why it's so hard to do this. All right. If you are looking for a group of like-minded humans who are into self-improvement, into growth, into vulnerability, into looking into pieces of the ego that you don't necessarily want to see, Next Level Nation, link will be in the show notes. What would you like to talk about, sir, before we go? A long-ass episode, by the way.
One of my favorites.
50 minutes.
One of my favorites.
My apologies.
I adored it. Well, there was a screw-up on your
glitch
internet,
in the middle?
so it might not be fully 50 minutes.
That was like 2 minutes.
If you want a place where we talk about truth and objective truth and accurate thinking, and that's really what it comes down to. Book club is about great ideas with great people, next level ideas with next level people, pun intended.
Brand it.
And the goal is to think more accurately about yourself, about others, and about the world so that you can make better choices, so that you can have a better life. That's it. That's book club. If you want in on that, Same as Ever by Morgan Housel. We're 6 chapters in. You can come in and out whenever you want. It's every single week. We're doing it with or without you. We want you there. And please come in and out. You don't have to have read every chapter. You don't even have to have read the book, to be honest. I mean, I provide a lot of references to the book, even if you haven't. I think one person is still waiting for the book to come in, and they're fine. They're still contributing. It's great. And you don't have to contribute either. You can keep your microphone off, keep your camera off. Book club every Saturday, 12:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. The link to register will be in the show notes.
As always, we love you. We appreciate you. Grateful for each and every one of you. And at NLU, we do not have fans. We have family. We will talk to you all tomorrow.
Stay focused. Next Level Nation.